What's the question I get the most around psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy? What's the big picture? How does it all work? What is it? That's kind of the questions I get most of the time. So let's get into it today. Hi everybody, I'm Jill. Welcome back to the Journey Stage, the channel where I talk about my experience of healing childhood trauma, PTSD with psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. And like I said, the biggest question I get, usually after people stop giggling after they've heard the word psychedelic, is how the heck does the therapy work? And so I'm going to break it down for you from my experience into three basic components. Number one, talk therapy intention setting. Number two, the actual psychedelic prescribed therapeutic journey. And then three, the recovery or the integration phase. So let's get a little bit more specific. 40% of the overall therapy is intention setting via talk therapy. You know you have some sort of issue, something's bothering you, you're having a conversation with your doctor, your therapist, your guide, and you are coming to understand what you want to heal, what you want to understand about yourself, what goals you might have in terms of your future. So for instance, for me as a PTSD patient, almost all of my intentions for my journeys, what the most prevalent topic was in all of my talk therapy, was all about fear. I had a huge fear that the universe was out to get me, that I couldn't escape a bad fate. I just had this dark cloud over me. So that's what the majority of my talk therapy was about. Now, the next 20% is the actual time where you have a prescribed psychedelic journey. And notice I'm using the word journey in a therapeutic way versus the terminology of a trip for a more recreational use of psychedelics. The procedure or the journey day for me was on average 5 to 8 hours, depending on the psychedelics that were used during my treatment. So that time period, if you even want to think about it like as a surgery or some sort of medical procedure, that was the medical procedure, that journey day. Now, the next 40%, integration. Some of the best ways to explain integration is a healing period or physical therapy. The integration, in my opinion, and this is totally my opinion, the integration was the most important part of this therapy. I had to make sure that I set time aside to meditate, to really think about what my brain was giving me, the memories that I was thinking about, how I was reshaping my opinions about my parents and my childhood. I was literally reframing beliefs that I had had for over 45 years of my life, for goodness sake. It's a super, super important time, which means it's the other 40%. So we have managed to hit 100%, thank goodness there. Now, realize I went through this process 3 times in the course of a year. So every 2, 3, 4-ish months is when we scheduled and I say we, me and my doctors, we scheduled another psychedelic journey. And so in between those times, I would say definitely the talk therapy preparation and the integration, they absolutely overlapped a little bit. I knew I was ready for another specific psychedelic journey when through my integration, I was no longer healing. I was no longer reframing. I was still left with some fear. I still had some issues to deal with. I think it's a very personal thing. I don't think in any way, shape, or form you can say, hey, Jill's experience of 2 to 4 months is normal or regular or anything to, even as a reference point. I've heard some people go 6 months. I've heard some people say I'm ready to dive in even sooner. It really depends on how your integration is going and the work that you put into it. The same way with any healing modality, you have to take care of yourself. So I hope that helps give you kind of a big picture. I managed to stay with 100% in there. And I know I use some terminology that might be new. Check out some of the other videos for some deep dives into things like what intention setting is and how exactly you go through integration and things of that sort. As always, Rescuing Jill and the companion workbook can be found on Amazon. And if you have additional questions, head on over to thejourneysage.com. I've got a lot of resources there. And of course, you can put questions in the comments below. And so with that, until next time, take care.